welcome in, everybody. We have Lindsay Martin and Alex Rojas with us, our winners from Pueblo. Lindsay won the multi, and Alex won the bass tournament on Sunday. The multi was on Saturday. Pueblo was on fire. I don't even know how many limits there were there. But yeah, tons of fish caught. It seems it's always that way. That's not this time of year when we hit Pueblo. And it definitely didn't disappoint this year. But let's just get into it. Welcome, Lindsay, and welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt, for having us.
Yeah, Alex, we'll get to you in a minute, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Lindsay. So Saturday was first on multi. Let's get into that. But before that, even just a quick intro about Lindsay, who you are, how you got into kayak fishing, and the club.
Well, I've been fishing for a long time, bobber, worm, same as pretty much everybody. I had a friend who gave me a kayak back in 2015, and I actually worked at the reservoir, so it just kind of went hand in hand. I was already shore fishing then, so I did a little bit of kayak fishing there, and then working at the reservoir, I heard about the club, so looked them up on Facebook. I think my first tournament was in 2018, and still had a paddle. Saw a couple pedal kayaks fishing with ease in the wind, and I was like, ooh, I want that.
Yeah.
I want that. Give me that.
Yeah.
I hit up a couple club members to demo a couple of their kayaks, and then I made a commitment to Native and made the purchase and been with Native since then.
Awesome.
That's awesome. What kind of kayak was the first one?
Ascend, Bass Pro
Okay.
Ascend.
Yep, that's what my first one
Sit
was
inside.
too.
Yeah.
I think so many
Fishing.
people start on that exact kayak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's affordable, and it's actually a
Yeah.
decent kayak.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
So how'd you
Lindsay.
find the clubs? You said you just found them through Facebook, right? Did you reach out to anybody, or were you a
No.
lurker? Were you lurking for
Yeah,
a while?
I was a creeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We figured. And
But
then
I
what
fished
took you to
Pueblo
that?
for a while. I guess Pueblo was my first tournament, and then I just did Pueblo for a couple years, and then I
Okay.
expanded to Spinney, and
Are you
then the
competitive by
next year.
nature?
Yeah, I blame it on my the high school, the where I grew up at.
Right,
Sports was
right,
instilled, competitive, and
right.
all that teamwork and camaraderie and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah,
Because I feel like getting into this, especially tournament stuff,
yeah,
normally people are driven by competition first, right?
yeah. I play in a kickball league in the fall too. So
Okay.
on
That's
Wednesdays,
fun.
I'm out there
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, fifth
Yeah.
grader in me. I'm like, let's do this.
That's cool. Are
So
you from
how are
Pueblo?
go ahead, sorry, Matt.
Sorry. So are you from
Uh,
Pueblo then?
no, I moved to the big town of Pueblo. I'm east of Pueblo, Fowler, a little farming community.
Cool.
Grew up on a farm, so yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say, so you get all excited when you kick your little kickball, right? How
Yep,
is it when you
yep,
catch a
yep.
fish during a tournament? Are you like, yeah?
Yeah, I get nervous. I get super nervous, and my knee starts shaking, and I'm like, okay, now I just gotta take a good picture, because
Right?
that's like the main key. Like you can't get credit if you don't take a good picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to get to that at the end of the show, talking about how to take pictures again.
Yeah.
We have rules, people. But no, that's awesome. So this is not the first time you've won a tournament, right?
No, I won Trinidad, not last season, but the season before. So I guess that'd be 2020.
Okay.
No,
And
She's
you're
21.
placed
always.
many a times.
I was gonna say she's always up there
She's
in the
placed
top.
many times, yes.
Yeah, I've only held that big check twice.
Were
So
they both for multi or
yes, yeah.
okay?
Well, I placed in the top 10 for bass, but holding the check was always for multi.
Nice. All right,
She's
and
been in
then
contention the last 2 years. She's been in contention for Angler of the Year, at least
Yeah,
the top three spots the last 2 years.
yeah,
yeah,
So she's been right there. And now she's in a great position right now I mean,
yeah.
you have a great shot now this year.
yeah.
S- starting off
Somebody's got to
early.
dethrone
I hope I
Paul.
don't peter out. Yeah, Paul. He's
Somebody's got to
and
dethrone
you,
Paul.
whatever.
No, Paul. Paul, not me. Paul.
You're a contender in both series, Alex.
All
Don't.
right. All right. So Saturday, Fish and Multi, your home lake,
Hmm.
Pueblo. Um, it's kind of what was your thought process going into it with the time of year that we're in, and maybe some changes that you would have made versus last year or
It's
other times you've been out.
it's hard because I'm usually still shore fishing at this time. Shore night fishing, Pueblo, can't go wrong. Um, Jerk baits. So it's hard for me to transition to kayak. I did do some pre-fishing earlier in the week and did horrible. So
Oh,
I just,
wow.
yeah, I did pre-fishing the weekend before the
Yeah,
Bassmasters
CKB.
tournament. Yeah, did really good, and then did pre-fishing that Wednesday before. Did horrible, so just went in with a completely different game plan and worked out for me.
Yeah, it did. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So are you one of the people? So I have like a strategy on pre-fishing. I haven't been doing tournaments very long, but I almost feel like the worse I pre-fish, the better
Hmm.
I do sometimes because at least I'm eliminating water.
Yes, I did. I'm like, I'm definitely not going to fish here. Eliminating water was definitely one of them. Uh, I don't know. It's a head game, so when I do better pre-fishing, it helps me go into the tournament with a little more confidence.
Yeah.
Because once I'm down in my head, then it's hard to get me back up and fishing well
Yeah.
or just
So,
have fun
for
fishing still instead of taking it too seriously.
going into this tournament, Lindsay, did you have a strategy as far as like, so I always try to set up, okay, I need three 17-inch walleye, I need two 15-inch bass, and any dang trout will do, right, for me, right?
Yeah.
And then I also go through, okay, that's what I need for fish sizes, and then I go through, okay, for that lake, right? And then I go through like, what's my strategy? Like, am I targeting walleye first? Am I targeting trout? So like, walk me through your process as far as how you're going to attack the tournament for this specific tournament, like what your thought process was.
I always go in competing against myself. So I always just try to do better than what I did the year before at that place. I always do try going after walleye first. For me, I just walleye early in the mornings and you can catch bass anytime type thing. Trout, phew, uh, trout's just, you're just lucky to get it when you do.
I know.
Uh, I So I got my walleye first thing. My first cast, I got my 18-inch walleye. So that was
What? Wait, wait,
pretty.
wait, wait, wait. There's a first cast jinx, right?
Oh no. Well,
Not for you, apparently.
yeah, I
No.
don't know.
Wow.
I was I was pretty pumped about that. So I was like, okay, we got one walleye. It's a good size. It's a keeper. Um, let's do this. And that was on a just a quarter ounce jig head with a half worm. And then my other walleye, I had a slip bobber set up running next to me, and that was my other walleye was on a slip bobber, maybe foot off the bottom. So I was got two walleye right off the bat, and then I was just trying to, I don't know, I get distracted walleye fishing, so I was fishing there for a little bit longer, and then I was like, okay, we got to go catch some bass. Moved on, uh, tried a couple coves. I was fishing on the west end, so I was in Denver Cove where you were the next day, and did not do very well. So then I was just trolling back, trying to decide if I wanted to jump over to the south side, go to the south side ramp or not. And I got a nice 19-inch walleye trolling on the flicker shad on a point. Thought I was snagged, but nope, that was nice.
Nice.
Uh, and then I decided I needed to load up. I did catch a couple small bass, I think 12-inch, in between then, but nothing of size. So I loaded up. I'm only meant to launch my big old Titan kayak once, and launch back at the south ramp. And
How hard was that decision? Because that's a tough decision because it's going to take time to load up your kayak, time to
Yeah.
get in the truck, time to drive around, load everything
Yes.
back up, get on the water. I mean, that's a
I,
tough decision.
I was hustling. I blame that on my growing up. I did put some hustle in. I was running up that DOW ramp
Right.
with my gear because I can't just one load. I have to take a couple trips and drag my kayak up that ramp. Um, but yeah, it took me about 45 minutes out of the day,
Wow.
all said and
Wow.
done and relaunched.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had about 2 hours. I got over about South Ramp just before noon. I had 2 hours to upgrade. I trolled over to Pedro's Point looking for some trout. Nothing. Came back over by the tires and trout hit. Just took my time, try not to horse it in. Got it in the net. Death grip on it, trying to take the
Yep.
picture. Uh, and then went and upgraded a few of my bass last minute. I think within the last hour, I think got a 17-inch bass and a 15, 14 and a half, 15.
Were they smallies or spots or?
Smallies, all smallies. I did catch a spotted earlier in the morning, but I upgraded it.
That's awesome.
So
The
was that your only
smallest-
trout?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, one and done. We're good. Let's move on.
Oh, me too. I searched for 5 hours for a dang trout. Finally
Ooh.
found them.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10-incher for 5 hours. 10-incher.
11 and a quarter. Yay. You never, it's like those tournaments, you're so happy for a stalker trout. It's like, yes.
You really are. Yeah, you really are.
I'm surprised you didn't catch any at Pedro's because I think I caught like 5
Right.
in
That's,
there. And they were all
yeah.
stalker size. I think I caught I upgraded 3 times, like a 10, 10 and a quarter, and then I think 11 and a quarter or 12 or something. But
I was thinking it was
Man, Lindsay, what?
too late in the
I mean-
day. I was thinking it was probably getting too hot for trout, and so
yeah, well,
I think I got lucky. I'll
they
take it.
the wiper were eating trout late in the day the next day because Alex and I got on a wiper bite, and you would just see a wiper come up, bust, and then you would just see like a stalker trout just go flying. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I was fishing by Tim in the morning, Tim Van Slicker, and they were busting up then, and he's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "I think it's wiper," but
yeah,
I was distracted by walleye.
Me and Matt, I don't care if it's a bass tournament going on or any tournament.
we committed.
They're busting. I stop fishing the tournament and I go chase wiper.
Well, yeah,
it's not often you get to do
upgraded
that.
too.
I did. That's another story, but yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lindsay, that I mean, to move spots, I've done it before, and I've had to fight myself. Like, am I making the right move?
Yes.
It's going to take so much time to do it, and that's an internal struggle I've had personally when I've done it. I've only done it once. Was that a struggle for you at all, or are you like, I know I got to do this?
I debated. I actually texted my husband, and I was like, I'm looking for a trout. What do you think I should do? Should I move? I know I could find something at Pedro's Point, and he's like, if that's all you need, then yeah, do it. So it paid off.
Good.
How long after you moved and put it on the south side did it take to get a fish?
Probably almost an hour. Probably a good 45 minutes to an hour before I
Were you
found
questioning
that.
yourself?
So yeah, I was. Oh yeah, because I pedaled all the way out to pay. I was so tired. Pedaled all the way out to Pedro's Point, and that didn't pay off. So then I started heading back. I'm like, I'll try the tires, go by the dam.
Right.
I might have enough to make it to the dam. I just remember, I don't know what tournament it was, but I think Jason was talking about Paul, how he just never gives up, and that just stuck with me. I'm like, I just got to keep on fishing and can't quit, never give up.
Yeah.
Give up. A lot of people do. A lot of people, you see them hour, 2 hours before the tournament, you're like, I'm done. You just never know. You could hit that 5-minute magic spot where you just load up, right?
Yeah.
Like I caught on back-to-back cast multi-day, I caught 2 walleye on back-to-back cast.
Yeah.
Right? And they're both 17s. I was like, okay. I thought I'd get a third one. An hour later, no third one. Right? It took me a while to get that third one. So you just never know is what I'm saying, though. So don't give up. That's a great
Yeah.
thing to say, right? So how many people, Matt?
yeah,
How many people are in this tournament, Matt, that you won?
there were over 40 both days.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I think it was like 41 or 42
Yeah, that's
multi, and maybe 46 for bass.
right.
So
That's awesome,
yeah.
Lindsay. That's a lot of people to beat.
Thank
And
you.
not only
Is. It
that,
really is.
so looking at some of the stats here, I like to geek out on stats. So Lindsay had over 100 inches, 100 and a quarter, and next up, second through fourth, and I think maybe even fifth, were all tied at 97 inches. So just went by the big fish for those. And another, I might be a first, I don't know. But the big fish for multi was a 20 and a quarter inch trout that Brandon Madom caught at Pueblo, which everyone's arguing, do we do trout at Pueblo or not? So I think Brandon stomped down on the trout there. But yeah, you won by over 3 inches to the next. So
That's a lot.
A lot.
That's a lot. Normally it's half inch, quarter inch.
Yeah.
The crazy thing too. The crazy thing about that is we had a 3-way tie, or was that bass day? No, that was multi-day, right?
Yeah.
Multi-day. Yeah.
A 3-way tie between second and fourth, correct?
Yep.
Or was it third and fifth or something like that?
No, second to fourth.
Second.
Yeah.
That's insane. So that tells you how close and tight it normally is. And to win by 3 inches, that's a lot. It really is, right?
Yeah.
And with a little baby trout to kick that too. I mean, it's.
I know we talk crap about trout, but I think if you don't throw that like bonus or kicker fish in there, it makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I hate
talk
it.
crap. I'll talk crap.
I hate it personally.
I mean,
I don't like to troll for 5 hours for a 10-inch trout. It's frustrating and not fun to me. But I don't make the rules. I just fish the events, right?
Yeah. Gotta commit to being a board member if you want to complain enough.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
All right, Lindsay. So congrats. I got some questions
Matt.
for you now. So we've kind of gone over your success in CKSC. You're set up really well for AOY. What is your favorite lake? Maybe favorite lake to fish for our tournaments, and then outside of that, favorite lake to fish on.
Oh, dang. I probably for tournaments. I don't know, because it just depends on the time of the year. Like as far as when they roll out the schedule, I'm like, ooh, because I have being from the Eastern Plains, I have a special place for John Martin, and Pueblo, but sometimes I don't agree with the times that the boards choose to go there. But I always like spinny. I like catching pike, so spinny for tournaments is always fun.
Yeah, she's a big pike. Lindsay's what we like to call her. She always catches a big pike.
I don't know if I want to say my favorite lake that I like to fish outside of tournaments because I don't
You don't
know,
have to.
people
If it's a secret spot, don't say it. If it's a secret thing, do not say it. Do not say it.
I'm sorry.
And I'm not
I love
saying,
you guys, but no.
That's good. That's good.
They're good.
So how about? Sorry, Matt. Let me ask one question real quick.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a walleye person, or like what is your fish that you like to fish for the most?
I guess walleye is what really got me into fishing, mostly. Like I worked at the reservoir and I worked with this older gentleman named Mr. Rogers, and he taught me like because I was still like bobber. I like did the spinner and everything, trout spinners, but he taught me how to use a tube jig and how to like change my line out because I'd always just be rocking the old line. So he taught me all that and walleye fishing. So that was like, and then I met my husband and walleye fishing was his main thing. So I think that's probably, but I mean, I can't hate on one certain species. Like every species, like bluegill, trout, But
I can hate on trout.
probably.
Just kidding. Except for a spinning lemma, I can't hate on those. But
Yeah, exactly.
so you said
you-
earlier you caught them on a jig and a worm. I'm just going back because this is the way I started, and I haven't done it since my first year of competing. I have not done it. I don't know why I haven't, but I need to get back to it. Were you throwing a half a worm on a jig head, like a 3/8 ounce jig head, and just dragging it? Because that's the way I used to always catch them, and I haven't done that in so long. Because I know it works well. It's extremely effective. You don't think any secrets. I'm just curious if
No,
that was a
yeah.
technique or not.
Yeah, I'll throw it. I like using the Eagle Claw laser point jig head, the 1/4 ounce jig head, where it has
Yep.
a weedless guard on it.
Yep.
That Pro V bend. I enjoy that. Yep, yep. I
Pro
don't
V
make
bend
my
right there.
own. I don't make my own. I just buy them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, pink is my color for Pueblo. I'll just throw that in half a worm, drag it on the bottom, and with that
Yep.
weedless guard, you don't get caught up in the trees. It's game.
I haven't done that in so long.
Yeah, you
But
just
it was so
yeah.
effective. It's so effective.
In the summertime, I like using it more late summer than this early. So I think I got
I like
lucky
doing it
'cause
early for me.
it hit it on the drop. So
Oh,
it
see,
was
mine
like
is
first cast, drop down,
boom.
smacked it, and yeah, I was like, oh, yeah.
I caught my first 2 walleye at the Pueblo tournament was on a net.
Ooh.
I just threw a net in like 18, 20 feet of water. And but
That's
before it hit the bottom, it was already on.
I get stuck on one thing. That was like me last year. I was rocking the Ned a lot, but now I'm like shaky head craw and just half a 1/4 ounce jig head worm with for walleye. It's kind of go to.
It is. It's super effective. Same thing with slip bobber. Super, super effective.
Yeah, slip bobber with a leech. I did drive
If you
up
do
to.
that, I like to throw it to the side. Do you fish something else at the same time?
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
mean,
See,
got 2
yeah.
poles.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. Cast it out next to you and just fish
it's
something else, right?
kind of a shit show sometimes if you're ever around me and I'm fishing 2 poles. Whoo.
Oh, you were next to me last year at
Oh,
Pedro's.
yeah. See that you remember
Do you remember?
the shit show?
Yeah, I lost one. Remember, I broke a hook and then I lost the
Oh
jerk bait.
yeah,
You were
yeah. I
right next to
remember
me.
that.
I lost 2 fish within 5 minutes.
He was super
Yeah,
sad.
I was sad is not the word I'd use, but yeah, okay. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. So usually we ask like a funny story on the water, but and I'll ask that. But I got another question that I want to ask you after that. So Alex has had stories on here, having to use the bathroom on the kayak or things that we've seen, up at Horsetooth and some stuff. But yeah, any type of fishing story that you just kind of memorable for you.
Man, I don't. Might be kind of lame. I really don't have any. I try to stay away from people when I'm on my kayak. And being a female, it's a struggle when you have to use the restroom. You're just going
Yeah,
to
I bet.
shore.
I could imagine.
Uh,
I can imagine.
and then you just gotta find a bush, and you're like, oh, pop down and pop it. Yeah, I didn't go to the bathroom. Yeah, nothing
Wasn't
going
me.
on
Wasn't
here.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's kind of lame. I don't have a memorable. I
No.
mean, I have some when I was working at the reservoir.
Oh, I bet you got lots with those.
Yeah, but yeah,
All right,
nothing I could think of.
we'll keep those offline. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, so I got a good question for you. We kind of talked about mental clarity a little bit, like moving from the north to the south or west to east. You're always so chill on the water. Like, is that like a personality thing that you were kind of like always this chill, or
Yeah,
like
I've been called laid back quite a bit. I guess it depends on if I'm hungry. There's a lot of factors.
okay,
Definitely my husband would probably have a different opinion about a lot of things.
sure,
But fishing's my happy place.
yeah.
So it's yeah.
No, it's cool. Because I think when you let the competitive nature get into like fishing, which is also like my happy place. It's easy for me to just go down a competitive route and spiral out
Yes.
sometimes. So
Exactly.
to see, the mental clarity of how do you have anything that you do to like
Yeah,
just
let's
chill
say
out? Let's say
yeah,
that
let's
you
say you
win
lose
it.
that you lose that big fish. You lose that big fish right at the
Ooh.
net. I lose it. It takes me 5-10 minutes to get myself back. Are you
Yeah,
good at just letting it go? And
I probably wouldn't get back. Um, yeah,
really?
Pueblo.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I have lost some big fish at Spinny, and I've done okay. A lot of times, if I catch one big fish, then I'm like, hey, I'm good, I'm happy. Like, I don't care how I do in the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I have a hard time getting back if I do
Okay.
lose a fish. Pueblo, I got lucky and I fish clean, I guess you would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I didn't have any fish jump off my board, so that
Awesome.
was
That's a
nice.
good
But
thing.
I don't like to listen to music when I'm out on the water. I like to
Neither. Neither.
pay attention to the boats because I just don't trust them.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so I don't know. Maybe I just gotta have fun. I just keep on telling myself to have fun because if you're not having fun, then what are you doing here?
That's awesome. Yeah.
How about at the end of a tournament, you have a chance to place or whatever? How stressed out do you get? I mean, yeah, you know what I mean? Like for me, I start really overthinking things at the end if I know I'm close.
Uh, I try not to look at the leaderboard because that gets in my head.
Oh yeah.
Um, I do send the link to my family, so then a lot of times they're sending me messages, and I had to tell them like, just like enjoy it from afar. Like
Right.
I'm here, I know what's going on. Uh, but yeah, I just yeah, just gotta stay out of my
Yeah.
head.
That's good. That's smart. I don't. I look at leaderboards as much as I can. I want to know where I am, and then it does mess me up though. It gets in my head. That's why I ask you.
I mean, I guess with Pueblo, I knew I told my family on Snapchat, I was like, I think I placed in the top 10. I'm not sure. Um,
Top 10.
because gotta stay humble, you can't be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm just I don't
Right,
know.
right,
I mean,
right.
that's not me. I can't do that because you gotta have I was always taught if you're gonna talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk, and a lot of times I
Right.
can't walk the walk, so I
Oh,
don't
you
talk the
walk the
talk.
walk, Lindsay. Don't give yourself some credit. You walk the walk.
Oh, thanks. No.
Man, I had the opposite. I thought I was doing great on Saturday, and then I was leading for a while, and then Paul Roth got me, and then Jason
Oh,
got me, and then I had like two 12-inch bass, and I ended up on Sunday I caught like a 217s like back to back, but I where I was, no, they were like 12,
no.
and I culled my walleye. I culled my 17-inch walleye 3 times. I had a 19 and like 17 and a half or something, but I probably caught in the last hour 30 smallmouth. Had one break me off, and then jumped out with my little net in his mouth. And other than that, it was like 12-inch. But it just like you're saying, like that last hour is just like trying to
Yeah.
make it happen. But congrats, you made it happen,
Thank you.
and you
Appreciate it. Thank you.
absolutely dominated, which is awesome. So best of luck to you. I'm sure we'll see you at Trinidad and all of the future ones. Any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to Eagle Claw. Appreciate their sponsorship.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, and
Yeah.
then
Thanks, Lindsay. As always,
Thank
you
you
killed
guys.
it. Give yourself some credit.
yeah,
And
I know
oh
you're
yeah,
humble. I know
sorry.
you're extremely
Uh,
humble.
I do want to thank the board members because without
Yeah.
them,
Great.
I mean, because I do serve on a couple different boards and it's a pain in the butt what they do. So, give them breaks. Don't talk crap on social media. Hit them up on a private messenger. You know, that's all.
Yeah. Agree. Yeah. Thank you, Lindsay. Is awesome.
Thank you
yeah.
guys.
All right, Lindsay, you are welcome to stay on here, and we can grill Alex now on Sunday.
Sure.
So, all right.
So my story,
Alex, yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
for
want to
it.
listen to a story
all
firsthand.
right. Do you want to like just go with it now, Matt, or how do you want to do this?
Well, let's talk about the tournament, like the bass fishing part, and
Okay.
then let's talk about your story of the
Okay.
famous kayak flip. So,
Okay. Do you just want to roll right now with it, or you want to do anything
yes.
else, or how do you want to?
So I'll kind of intro the tournament. So the bass tournament on Sunday, you again you won by over 3 inches again. So 86 3/4 inches. Second place was Paul Roth, again with 83 inches, and Eric Ali 81 1/4. Jason Duong at 81. And you also caught big fish, 20 inches or 20.5 inch smallmouth in Colorado. That's the biggest smallmouth I've seen in Colorado. I've only lived here a year, but still really big.
That's a good one.
So,
They're bigger, but that's a good one.
So yeah, let's just go into your strategy of how you looked at the
Yep.
day and what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so I mean, my story's long. It's a long, drawn-out story, but you have to start at the beginning to appreciate the story. I talk a lot, so I'm sorry, but it is a long, drawn-out story, as Matt already heard a few times, I'm sure. But so it all starts with Friday because that's how to set up my pattern, right? How I found my pattern that I fished on Sunday with. So Friday after work, I got down the lake about 3:30, started fishing. Fished for about 3 hours. I went to the back of the coast first. I started at the North Marina. I knew I wasn't going to fish there. I just wanted to go there and try to find a pattern there that I could replicate to go to DOW, right? Because I knew I was going to go to DOW. But so I just started trying to find a pattern. I go to the back looking for bedfish, and if there's any big ones back there. I saw a few bedfish. I didn't really fish much back there, just a bunch of small ones. So then I started working my way out from the back to the main lake, kind of. And I was picking up fish, but they're all small fish, 13s, 12s, 10s. You know how that goes, right? Pueblo, typical Pueblo fish. Then I got to a little cut. It's just like the first cut from the main lake. And I went in there and I caught some 14s in there, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. This is working out pretty well. Then I hit the main lake. I hit the secondary point from that little cut. And when I got to the secondary point, I think in like 20 casts, I picked up 3 fish, I think it was, that were 14.75 to 15.5. I think maybe in a 16 in there. I was like, oh, okay. The main lake point, the point there. I'm like, okay, all right. So then I said, that clued me in a little bit. So I said, I'm going to go main lake and hit those points now just to see if that is a pattern. So I went out to the main lake point. The first one off the north boat ramp. If you follow it all, there's a bluff wall. You follow all the way to that main lake point at the very end. I went over there, and I would say within about 20 casts, 30 casts, I had about 76 inches. I was holding this under the vest. I told some people a little bit of the juice, but I don't want to tell anybody all the juice, right? So I probably had about 77 inches in about 20 casts. It was crazy, right? But this is Friday afternoon. Things can change, right? It could be a timing deal. It could be all kinds of stuff, right? But I got into them pretty good there, pretty quick. And so from there I said, let me see if this pattern holds up. So I went to another point that's a little ways away, pedaled over there, caught them again on the same point. I caught probably 3 off that point that were 15 plus, right? All 15s, no 16s, but plus 15s. So I was like, oh, my pattern's good now. I knew for sure. I made the run to one more point. I caught 1 fish off that point, and then I said I better back off. I think I was talking to you, Matt, if I remember. I don't remember. But I was like it might have been Josh. I don't remember. But I was like saying, I started debating if I was going to come back to that area to fish the tournament because I was getting into them pretty good. So I had a dilemma now. I was like, because I had no intentions of fishing there. But now I was like, oh, damn. I could get 78 inches pretty easy, I think, here, if not more.
Yeah.
I was like, shoot, do I come back here? Do I not come back here? So I had a day and a half to think about it. So multi-day, I go down on South Marina like I always do for multi. So this is where the story starts, I guess, really. Yeah, it's a long story, like I said. So I start loading the kayak up in the morning on Saturday morning for multi, right? I'm taking my gear out. I'm getting my rods out of their sleeves. And I have 2 rods. So let me tell. I'm gonna give you the gist real quick. Okay, this is what I was catching them on. We have little pour parties. Me, Matt, Josh, Jeremy, a few of us. We do pour parties with lead, right? So we all have fun, and Corey too. So I have these. We have a mold for a jig head, right? So this is the jig head I was using, and that's a Trocar Pro V 570 VP size 1 hook that we poured. I've never tried these hooks until I poured them this time, and I will never throw another jig head for small swim baits ever again. Probably Ned's, to be honest. This hook is the deal for real. Like when they hit it, I didn't have to set the hook at all. I just reel and just load up. And I didn't lose a single fish, not one. They were pinned. Every last one was pinned. In fact, when I went to get them off the hook, I had to fight to get it past that bar because they were on every single time. It was a pain in the butt. I tore up a lot of plastics just trying to get them off the hook. So that rod, I had 2 rods that I had brought for small swim baits. They're both 7-foot rods. One might be 6'8", 6'10", and a 7-foot rod. That are medium light rods. The tips on them perfect for throwing these light things. I had one that I custom built. One of those rods was a custom built rod that I just built like 3 weeks ago. My best build I've ever had for a rod. It's my sweet rod. It was perfectly balanced. Notice I'm saying was a lot, right? Was. That's a key word here, right? Again, it's the 3rd time I've used this rod. Brand new reel. I think it might have been the 2nd time for that reel, maybe 3rd time for the reel too. But it's a Fluger Supreme, it's like a $130 rod. The reel, I mean, with my custom rod I built. So I broke the tip off of another rod that I was using for this technique also. That was just a standard rod. But before the morning started, I just took the sleeve off. Rod tip's broken. I'm like, how? Like, it's not nowhere near my car doors or windows or nothing. I have no idea how it snapped, but it snapped. So I'm already down a rod. Okay, no big deal. I'll get over that pretty quick, right? Start fishing the day. It's frustrating. My 5 hours of trolling for a damn little trout. Right, so my weekend is all highs and lows. You're going to hear the whole story here, right? So it starts off with a low with the broken rod tip. I catch 2 bass fishing for walleye, 215s, I think it was. So I'm like, I don't even got to cast one time for bass this whole day, right? I lost a trout right away. Kent was right next to me. Kent Lemon was right next to me. I lost probably a decent trout, and I saw it, and I rushed it, and it came off. I didn't take my time with it. That frustrated me right away because I was like, that'd have been the trout. You know, I don't have to fish for damn trout the rest of the day. I can just go walleye fishing and bass fishing. But took me, so I had 4 fish, 5 fish, 4, and then I got the 5th one a little later. Then I trolled forever looking for a trout. I went all over the damn place in South Marina. Finally hooked up with one with 30 minutes left, and I got 4 in 10 minutes, but all of them were like 10 to 12 inches. So, I'll start before that though. So I'm fishing for walleye at the spot in Pedro's, and I go to switch rods, and this is a rookie move right here, right? Is I pull my rod out of the rod holder, and the reels were intertwined, and it pulls out my custom rod. Again, pulled out my custom rod, and it splashes right next to me. I try to grab it. I touched it with my fingertips, and then it started sinking. So I got the rod in my hand. I used it. I had it twice with the rod in my hand, and then the 2nd time I lost it. It was kind of down at this point, just the tip, and I knew it was gone. In like 14 foot of water. I marked it. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna try to get it, but
Yeah.
I was really upset at that point after trolling for trout, and my day wasn't going the way I wanted. And I lost that custom rod. It really, really, really made me go down. Like, I was really mad. I love that rod. I built it for hair jigs, but it's perfect for small swim baits. I was so proud of that rod too. And then down it goes to the bottom, right? So that was the end of my day, whatever, you know. And then I'm like, yeah, 3 down. I didn't think I did very well in the tournament. I finished in 8th. Not that that's good, but it's not bad. You know, it's okay. You know, it's points at least for AOY potentially, right? So I was like, okay, at least I got 8th. You know, I won some prizes and stuff. So I was like, okay. Ended on an okay note. You know, yeah, I lost a rod, 2 rods, but it is what it is. My problem was now, what rod am I going to throw that little swim bait on? Because I didn't have another rod. All my other rods were mediums. I didn't have another rod to throw that with. Accurately, good, nothing, right? So I was like, what am I going to do? So then tournament ends, multi-species day. We go to eat, me, Matt, Brandon Matum, and Ronnie go to eat some Mexican food. We go to the restaurant. We play credit card roulette to see who's going to pay the bill. Hey, who do you think won that or lost it? However you want to look at it, right? This guy, right? Of course. And the kicker with that, right, is again, down again. There I go down. There's
Oh, wait, no,
$100 down.
That's a high.
That's a high. It's a high
me
for
it
the other
was.
three guys. For Matt, that's a high. For me, it wasn't. Right? And then the kicker is the girl. She didn't get the cards like you normally just pick one randomly. We told her just go pay for it. Ronnie told her just go pay for it, pick a card. She picked my card because I have a Southwest card, and it has a little heart on it. I was like, really?
So like the heart?
I'm scratching that heart off so it never happens again.
Hey, at least they were 2 for ones, you know?
That's true. Our drinks were 2 for 1. So
Just from that, I know where you
that's
guys
saved.
went.
Yep.
Yeah. So then from there, that's the down, right? So I'm like, oh, and my rod. I'm still thinking my rod. I'm like, what am I going to fish with? What am I going to fish with? Because I knew my pattern, and I was like, I can't throw it with what I have, right? So that night, we're hanging out, we're playing games, we're drinking, having a good time at camp with Corey and Don and Ronnie and Matt and Jeremy. I don't remember who all was there. No, Mitch and
Mitch
a bunch
was
of us
there,
were all there hanging out, right? And we're watching the Nuggets game, right? Me and Ronnie win multiple. I don't think we ever lost playing this. I don't know what the game was, some frisbee thing.
Yeah.
So that's a high. You know, me and Ronnie are kicking butt. We're drinking. That's a high. Nuggets game comes on. Nuggets win the series to go to the finals. Boom, high, right? Woo, right? And then Matt and Corey then volunteer to give me one of their medium light rods that they have. They both say, hey, take mine. Like, grateful for them, thank you. Corey says, dude, just take mine. It's a custom rod that he built. It's his baby. You know, he really loves that rod. I was hesitant, but I was like, I need one. I'll take it, you know. And then here's the words for foreshadowing here, okay? Corey says, jokingly, says, don't lose my rod. We're foreshadowing, okay? And I'm like, dude, I promise you I'm going to take good care of this rod. I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose your rod, Corey, okay? I know you love that rod, right? Again, we're foreshadowing again, right? So I'm building up again. Okay, just forget whatever happened today. Let's just move on. Go to bed, wake up, get to the lake, hit my spot. Nobody's there. There's I was expecting 14 people there because there's 40-something people in the tournament, and I'm expecting to be busy there. There's 6 of us, Matt.
Yeah, it was pretty empty, yeah.
Yeah, 5, 6 of us. Matt launched there too. I get on the water, morning starts. Boo, here we go. Let's go fish. 2 casts in, boom, hooked up. 14-inch fish, 14.75, I think it was right away. 14 and a half or something like that. I'm like, my pattern's already working. I'm already on my pattern. I'm good. And then I start kind of messing around a little bit, trying to fine tune the pattern, and I catch dink, 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 dink. Then I caught a few 13s. I caught a couple 14s, right even 14s. I'm throwing them back because I'm very confident. And that's bit me before. And I should learn that's a rookie mistake, but I'm throwing them back thinking I get 15s, you know. That was cocky of me, and it's bitten me before, so don't do that. Always take your first legal length fish that we have. Take your photos of those first 5 fish. It's bitten me before. Anyways, so from there I move to my next point. I get to that point. My second cast, I caught a 15 and a half, I think it was. And so here's where I'm going to give you some of the juice, okay? So what I discovered was when I got to the second point, I was fishing off. So this is the point coming straight down, the ridge, if you will, into the water. I was attacking it from the side. And I was fishing the edges, right? And I was casting to shore, actually I was casting a little bit offshore, but at that point I'd already figured that out. And I was just slow reeling, right? Bumping the bottom. And I started catching a bunch of dinks, but I wasn't catching anything except for that 15 and a half that I caught right away. Everything else was dink, 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 dink. And I was like, what the heck? So then I thought maybe it's a casting angle deal. So I moved directly in line with where the point comes off, straight out. And I started casting, and I was catching dinks, and then I pulled off a little bit. And when I pulled off is when I found the actual deal that day for the bigger fish. Is I stopped casting to the bank and started casting about 10 to 15 feet off the bank into deeper water. And I let that jig go down, 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 down to about where it's like 12 foot, and I was fishing all the way down to 20 foot. And so I let it go all the way down to the bottom until it hits slack, and I pop it, just a little pop, and then I just start, painfully slow reeling it. And I was getting snagged a lot, so I had to pop it off. But I was bumping those rocks the whole way, just, slow reeling it. And then, boom, fish on, right? Hook up, and I knew right away, I was like, zzz, right? I was like, oh, I got a freaking wiper on. I'm like, oh my gosh, And I'm fighting it. I'm debating, do I just reel it in as fast as I can? If it breaks off, I just get another, because I want to fish. It's the first hour of the light, it's prime time. I don't want to deal with this wiper and take forever to reel it in on a little, 6-pound line and a medium light rod. And I'm just like, I just want to get this thing in, So I started debating started horsing it a little bit. And then it's zzz. I'm like, maybe it's a good smallie. I don't know. Maybe I doubt it. I think this is a wiper. And so I'm fighting it for a while. So I decided just take it easy, take your time. I'm fighting it for like 3-4 minutes, And I'm standing up in the kayak as I'm fighting it, and I'm just like thinking it's a wiper the whole time. And then flash, a brown just flashes across. And I see the brown flash, and I knew immediately it's a freaking giant smallmouth, right? And that's when the heart gets going. We were talking about that earlier, right? As the heart gets going, I start shaking. I start overthinking everything. I'm like, oh, don't lose this, And I'm like, take your time, talking to myself, And I get it close, and I pull the net out, and I go to net it, and I bump it, right? And I thought I'm gonna lose this fish.
Oh my
And it
gosh,
takes another run on me, and I'm shaking, I'm nervous. I'm like, this is a big fish, Like, I knew if I caught it, that was probably gonna be big fish for the day. It's $250, right, for big fish. I'm like, that's a $250 check right there. Don't mess that up. Finally, I fight it enough. She lays down finally in the water, and I net her. And then at that point now, I put the net under my butt like I always do, and I just had to take a few deep breaths because I'm just like, I got big fish for the day now. I knew it was a big one, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
I think I got that locked up now. I'm shaking. I'm kind of a mess at that point. I grab the fish, put it on the board. I take a picture immediately, mouth open, everything, just to get it on there. And then I take my picture. Everything's great. I put her back in the water. I take a couple selfies, put her in the water, in the net, so she's safe in the water. I sit on the net like I always do. I review my pictures like I always do to make sure mouth's closed, it's hitting the inch mark, everything's visible, the identifier's visible, just to make sure there's no deductions. I do it every time, right? There's a boat next to me, and they're like, "Whoa, what was that?" And I'm like, tell them it's a big smallmouth. I said, "Do you mind taking a picture?" I go over to them. It's a gentleman and his 2 kids, and graciously enough, he took some pictures for me. He texted me later, and he asked me a bunch of questions. I told him what the juice was. I told him, "Hey, here's what you want to do." I said, "Just fish the points that way, all the way. I don't care. I'll let it damn fish that way. I don't care. If you just wouldn't mind, please, not fishing the points this way for me, because I'm gonna hit every point this way, right?" He's like, "No, yeah, just tell me what you're doing." I told him everything I was doing. He was awesome. Anyways, so I get back to fishing again after like 15 minutes. Get my head right again. I catch another one pretty quick there, another 15.5-inch fish. I was at 4 fish at that point, I think, and I had 83 inches at that point. And it's early still. It's like 7:30, 7:45, and I got 83 inches. And I'm at that point going, I should be able to place top 3 with 83 inches, if not win it, right?
Yeah, 83 was second place.
Yeah, was that
with,
second, yeah.
With big fish, you would have got first just off 83.
Yeah. But I think I had 83 and change, if I remember right. But I don't know. Anyways, but I knew I had enough to be top 3 probably, right? I was really high. Like now I'm just like as high as you can get. Like you can't get any higher, after you catch a tank like that, right? And then I got 83 inches. I'm like, all right. At that point, at 67 inches. Sorry, 4 fish, 67 inches. And I'm like, okay, I'm sitting pretty good, right? So then I need one more fish. I go to the point right across from it, do the same deal there, and catch a 14.75, I think it was. I caught another 14.5, and then I hook it to 15.5, I think it was. And at that point, I had 83 inches, if I remember right. Or 80, yeah, it's 83 inches at that point. So yeah, now I know I'm like, okay, I'm good now. I fished that point for a little bit. I'm like, let's make the big run and go hit all the points that are much closer to each other. And I made the long run at that point. It took me about half an hour to get down there. It's 8:30 when I make the run. I get down there. It's about 9. There's several kayaks on the point that I wanted to hit. There's several kayaks fishing the tournament that are on there. It's like 2 or 3 guys. I think they're kind of fishing a little bit together, but they're all on that point. It's a long point, and they're all on it. And I wanted to hit that one, but I was like, whatever, they have it, no big deal. So I go to the next point that I want to hit. I get there pretty quickly. There, I hook up an 18.5-inch fish, right, which I think was the second biggest fish of the day. It's the kind of day I had, right? It was just a great day. I think it was the second biggest fish of the day, so I top 2. I am like, I never had a day like this. Never, ever, ever. Like, it was just a special day, especially for Pueblo, right? So at this point now, I got 85 inches at this point in change or whatever it was, right? And I'm like just sky high. Like, now I'm just setting crazy goals for myself. I'm like, I'm going to try to break 90. Like, I'm getting cocky as hell now. Like, let's go for it. Let's break records. Let's do this, And I'm like, I want to hit 90, unrealistic, but still in my head, it's like, let's just try, And so I caught the 18.5 at 9:09 a.m. Okay, so I'm at 85 inches at 9:09 a.m. I'm having a fantastic morning. I'm on cloud 9. I mean, I can't do nothing wrong. I just feel that way. I just got that mojo going. I'm just so excited and just it's pumped, and like I never had a day like that for a tournament. 9:09. That's important because 20 minutes later the whole thing changed, right? So we get into it. I decided I'm not going to fish that. I'm going to stop fishing points for a second because I want to go check the back of this little tiny cut because I do really well back there all the time, and I usually catch a 16 back there usually. So I'm like, I got to go to the back and just check for a minute. Take me real quick. So I start fishing my way back to that back. About halfway into that cut, I hook up, get it on. I'm like, oh yeah, it's an upgrade. It was like a 16.5 to 16.75, somewhere in there. I had it on the board. It was about 16.5. I was trying to get it to 16.75. I get my camera out. I'm trying to take the picture. And here we go, Matt. You ready for picture time?
Yeah, let me throw it.
Picture time. Here we go. Boom. That's the picture we have. Okay, this is 9:29 when this happens, right? I go to take the picture. Fish flops off the board. That's the picture I get when I take the picture when he flops off the board. He's not in the picture, right? All hell breaks loose. I'm trying to get this fish out of the well, right? The fishing well of the kayak. As I'm doing it, my arm must have bumped the rod. Again, I've only used one rod the whole day. That was Corey's rod that I had borrowed the day before that he said don't lose, and I said I will in a force setting. I bump his rod. It falls. I hear splash. I look over. I'm like, oh no. I try to grab it. I touch it. I almost get it the second time, and at this point, I made a business decision. I said, I promised this guy I'm not losing his rod, right? I dive in on purpose to get that rod. So I just thought, no big deal. I'll dive in. I'll go to shore. I get back in the kayak, right? Not so much. Hold my beer because that did not happen, right? I dive in. I grab his rod. I'm all happy. I come up out of the water, and then I realized as I went out, my legs must have caught my fish finder and my rod holder are right next to me. I must have caught the fish finder rod holder as I went in with my legs, and I brought the kayak with me. So I flipped the kayak, right? So I come up all happy with Corey's rod. I did it, whoop, whoop, right? Mind you, I just took a picture, and this is the picture that's showing here. It's hanging off my lanyard at this point. My camera takes like 15 photos, I think, or something stupid like that, and video. I don't know how it did it. This is the first photo after I go in. It's just water, right? I think it's green with my kayak or water. I don't know what it is. Yeah. And then it's a bunch of my life vests. And then we got video that we can't really share on here, I think, because it's too big or whatever. So now all hell breaks loose. I'm trying to figure out how to, what's going on first off. I'm grabbing whatever's floating. I'm grabbing, just throwing on shore. I'm about 10 feet to 15 feet offshore maybe at that point. And I'm just chucking everything I see, just chucking it to shore. And I'm at the same time trying to swim with the kayak. So a mistake I made, and this is maybe a lesson learned, on the natives with the native, not the Titans, but with the Slayer Max, there's a hatch that you have to lock in so that hatch isn't open. I never lock it because I'm always opening it, there's the hatch right there. I'm always getting water and my drinks, my snacks are in there. I put my layers in there. So I never lock it. The problem with that is in there's a little basket, if you will, that kind of like there's a big hole that the basket sits in. So when it flipped, that hatch opened up, and I saw that basket that had like some of my layers, and it had a scale and a few other things that I wanted to keep. So I grabbed it and I chucked that on shore. But when I did that, I opened up that big cavity in that hatch that goes to the hull. And when I did that, it immediately started filling up with water at an extreme fast rate. Like it started, like I saw the ass end of the kayak start going in the water, like sinking, and panic mode set in. Yeah, I started panicking. So I started swimming as fast as I could. Never letting go to Corey's rod, mind you. Never letting go of that rod. Right?
Priorities.
And I started
you
just
jumped in for
yeah,
it.
priorities, right? And I started kicking and kicking and kicking. I'm not that far offshore. I'm only 10, 15 feet. So I get to shore. I'm trying to pull it on shore. It's upside down. Corey's rod now's out of my hand. I can't get it to shore because I have my power pole was up, right? So when it flipped, now it's down. And it's like 6 feet, right? So I can't go any closer to shore because it's hitting the rocks. And mind you, my kayak's still filling up with more water, and I cannot move it anymore. Now I'm trying to flip it, and I'm a small, weak guy. I am, right? It is what it is. And I'm trying to flip this damn kayak full of water, and I cannot move this kayak. And I'm freaking out because now it's starting to sink a little bit. Like it's starting to go down the slope. It's a steep slope there. I can see the ass end getting further and further in the water. And so, I don't know, I just got a burst of energy, adrenaline, and I was able to finally flip it over, and I flipped it. And then I saw all my gear just floating, all kinds of stuff. So one of the things this is a little, I got to show it, but so I have a tough crate. I use a tough crate right here. And underneath there, I have these little pool noodles. You see them? That I zip tied on there, okay? And I have those there for sound, because when I move my crate, it makes a lot of sound on the hull, so I had that as a sound dampening thing, right? That I did not. So in the morning, I did not fasten my crate like I always do to the kayak in case I flip it, it won't go anywhere, because it's gonna be a calm day, and I didn't. And I do that often, which is dumb. I'll never do this again. So when it flipped, and I flipped the kayak over, I thought I'd lost that crate. I thought it was gone with hundreds of dollars worth of lures and gear and crap, right? I thought it was gone. But when I flipped it over, I saw it floating. And I just jumped out immediately, grabbed it, threw it on shore, right? And those pool noodles saved my day. I mean, they saved me losing that, right? So I got extremely lucky. So always fasten your stuff down. So that's on shore. Now I just start grabbing everything else. My NRS boots, first time using them. First time using them. So I started the day with NRS boots, took them off. I had socks on. I took those off. I threw them in the back, and I put my water shoes on. Those guys, I didn't realize they float. Maybe they don't. I don't know, but they were floating. I threw those on shore. So I'm starting to collect stuff, right? My power pole's up. I know the power pole's good. While I was in the water, I was trying to hit it so it would release the power pole so I could flip the kayak easier or pull it on shore. My remote stopped working. So I thought my remote died because it was underwater for so long. Or the motor to the power pole died. That's like $800 for the damn power pole. Like, oh my gosh, you know? So I'm all just stressed out over everything. Like, what did I lose? And so I start going through everything. Meanwhile, my battery box for my fish finder, which is the Panoptix forward-facing stuff, brand new. That's $2,000. Sitting underwater the entire time. It took me it's probably like for 50, maybe 10 minutes it was underwater before I could finally get to it. Yeah, it was just a complete mess. I'm pulling everything on shore. I'm just stressing out. Like, what did I lose? Did I just lose $3,000 worth of my fish finder and power pole? And I don't know how many rods I lost at that point. What else did I lose? You know, luckily I'm pulling stuff up, and I'm just like, whatever, it is what it is at this point. I get it up the kayak to up on shore where it's stable enough. It's trying to pull me down, mind you, because all the weight of the kayak, of the water. So finally I was able to get it stabilized enough, but I could not move it 1 inch after that. Like, it was just way too much water in there. So show that next picture, Matt. So this is the kayak as I got it on shore. There it is. There's my yard sail too, right? But you can see the butt end of that kayak is completely submerged underwater. You can see 2 rods to back there.
There's Corey's rod.
The Corey's rod's on shore. That one's already on shore. I made sure of that first, right? and then the power pole's in the back, right? But you can see how far underwater it is. I mean, that's how much water it took in.
Dang.
And I can't move it from there anymore. It's a steep bank. It doesn't look steep, but Matt, you were there, it's a steep shale rock bank.
Shale.
Like you can't get traction, you can't lift it. So at that point now, I'm relaxed. I got everything that I could get at least at that point. I don't know what I've lost at this point. But everything's okay. I'm safe. Kayak's safe. Everything's safe at that point. So I started making phone calls. My first phone call was to Matt because we launched in the same area. So I thought maybe he was close. So I called Matt up and said, "Hey, Matt, I got a situation over here. Is there any way you could help me out?" And Matt, being the guy he is, like, "Dude, I'll get there as soon as I can." I was like, wait, stop. Let me find out where Josh is because I knew Josh Unger launched where we were too. So I called Josh up. I said, "Keep fishing, Matt. Don't worry about it. Let me see where Josh is." Josh had just left the area. Matt was across the lake. And Josh was actually coming across the lake when I called him. I told him, he rushed over there as fast as he could. He got there in a heartbeat. He got there really quickly. He gets off. He gets there with me, and we started both trying to budge the kayak. We had to move this kayak an inch at a time. There's so much water between two of us. We couldn't get footing to pull it up. And it was like 1 inch every single pull, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. We finally got it up enough that the back end where the drain plug was about 1.5 inches out of the water. So I pull the drain plug, it starts draining water. Matt starts working his way over, I guess. That thing drained for 45 minutes and still had a lot of water in it. But it got to the point where me and Josh were able to get the full kayak out of the water. And I was able to move it so the front end of it was there. So here we go into this. Matt gets there. Here's my yard sale when Matt gets there. I open up all my tackle boxes because they're full of water so that they don't rust out on me and try and dry everything out, right? I pour all the box out of my battery box. All the water out of my battery box is full of water. I'm trying to dry everything out. I power everything off to make sure I'm not frying any electronics worse than it already is. Matt gets here at this point. At this point, I think I was already fishing for rods, right, Matt? I was fishing for rods at this point.
Yeah.
So there I am. That's when Matt shows up right there, right? And so at this point, I have a treble hook and a worm weight on there to try to drag the bottom to try to get my rods back because I'm missing 5 rods at this point.
Ooh.
And I know exactly. I'm not that far offshore. I was even thinking about going for a swim for him, and Josh was like, "Don't go for a swim. Don't do it, bro. Just try to fish for him." I'm like, "All right." He's like, "You've been swimming enough today. You don't go swimming anymore." So I started casting. I'm reeling. I hook one of my rods. I'm like, "All right, I got one rod back." I'm like, all excited. I got 4 to go. Matt shows up. Matt's like, "Let me try to fish from a different angle since he's in the kayak in case the rods fell at a different angle. He has a different angle." He starts fishing. Probably like how many casts you think, Rod? How many casts you think, Matt, before you hooked the rod?
I think it was like my 3rd cast, and my whole point was you were casting one line coming up. I was like, well, if you know where you dropped them at, I can cross your lines, cross your poles potentially, and get them up. And we were just trying to salvage what we could. I did not think it was going to happen, but I
tell them your story because you did it. Tell them the story. It's pretty awesome.
So I end up getting a bite, and I'm like, I think that might be a rod. It feels different. And I was really just scraping the bottom with a swim bait. And I caught a fish. And then this fish ended up tangling himself into 2 of your rods. So then we had 3 out of 5, right?
Yeah, he's like, "I think I got a fish. I think I got your rods." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then he comes up, he's like, "I got 2 of your rods and a fish." And there's a picture right there, right? I'm like, what the heck? He got 2 rods and a fish. I mean, you talk about Pueblo being on fire? Like, you talk about Pueblo being on fire, right? Because during this tournament, I think there was like, out of 40 whatever people, there's 40 limits. It was crazy. Everybody got a limit, right?
Yeah.
That's how on fire Pueblo was. That while he's fishing for my rods, he catches a fish and 2 of my rods, mind you. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. That was pretty good part of the story too, right? So yeah, I get those rods. So now I'm down 2 rods at this point, right? One I don't care about, but another one's another custom rod that I built, and I really want that. That's of all the rods I lost, that's the one I wanted to get the most, and I didn't catch it. I ended up hooking into another rod later. It took me like 1.5 hours of fishing for rods. That I finally caught both my rods. I ended up getting both my rods, even my custom rod. I got them all back. So I'm pretty happy at this point. I got my custom rod back. It looks like I got all my rods back. I got most of my gear back. I don't know what I'm missing still at this point. After he caught those 2 fish, and I got the kayak safe. I told them, go fishing. Those guys are awesome to take time out of their day. I can't thank them enough. That's why I love this club. I love kayak fishing. because we help each other. Even during tournaments, we share information as far as, hey, try this, or try that. It's competitive, but we all help each other at the same time. Those guys coming across the lake, taking time out of their day to help me out with my dumbass decision, that meant a lot to me. And I was really appreciative of Matt, thank you, and Josh Unger, of course, right? Because, you guys, I'd still be there trying to sell all my stuff, I guess, right? Because the garage sale that I had on the shore.
Yeah. And I want to point something out before we get too much farther, because it's important. And the fact that you just had, like, it was on the news again last night, because it's the season's getting going. You had your life jacket on, you had all your stuff, you had a situation. Yeah, you could have lost your kayak, but like the fact that you had your life jacket on, and that's a rule that we have. Right. You have to have it on, but like this is exactly why that water is cold. I mean, even if it's 60 degrees, that's about, as warm as it's going to get for a while. So, and it gets way colder than that. So, just on a
it's not even that, Matt. It's also in the middle of summer when the water degrees 70 degrees. It doesn't matter because there's other situations that could pop up, right? So when I fell out, I could have easily tangled up my feet in my wires of my fish finder, of my catch board, because I have a lanyard for the catch board, my phone lanyard, lots of cables hanging out, lots of things that my feet could get tangled up in. I don't have my flotation device on. That kayak's underwater. I'm underwater. You got a big problem on your hands. A lot of people say, I just keep it under my seat or I keep it under the hatch. In that situation, is never going to help you. Never, 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 ever going to help you. So always wear your PFD. Another scenario, 2 years ago, I think it was, a guy at Cherry Creek was in shallow water, like 7 foot of water, 6 foot of water, like his head barely went underwater, whatever. In a boat, a regular boat with his family. He got something tangled up in his prop, apparently. He got out to try to fix his prop, and he had to go underwater a few times to try to work on the prop, like to try to figure out what was hanging it up. And it's mud. It's a mud bottom, right? And anybody knows you step in mud with shoes or anything that it creates a vacuum when you step in it and the shoes come off your feet. This particular situation, he went under there, was trying to work on stuff with his feet in the mud, and he never came back up with his family just feet away. He drowned right there, right? So let's say I was trying to move my kayak and I go into the waters and trying to push it or something. My feet get stuck. If I don't have a flotation device on, I'm in big trouble, So with me, my flotation device, I didn't have to hit bottom. I just was floating. I was able just to kick and swim my way to shore, right? So yeah, please always wear your PFD no matter what. Another scenario, I was fishing at Quincy one time. I'm standing up, not paying attention. The wind's blowing me pretty hard. I hit the dam, and the jolt of hitting the dam with my kayak sent me flying. I landed in the seat of the kayak, luckily, but had it been a different angle, I'd have fell out of the kayak. I could have hit my head on a rock, and I'd have been in 2 feet of water. But if I'm passed out, it doesn't matter. You could drown, right? That PFD, again, could have saved your life in that situation. So always wear your PFD because you don't know the scenario that you could get yourself into. So yeah, good point there, Matt.
Yeah, like you said, wearing it, the law for a kayak is, you got to have it on. But if you just have that thing in your hatch, do you think you could have even gotten to it?
No, never.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, because my hatch was open. It's a little different, but still.
But I mean,
I don't know the situation. I'd have been under the water. I'd have been more panicked, instead of just floating there relaxed.
Yeah.
I was very relaxed when it happened as far as me personally. I wasn't thinking about me, right? I was thinking about my gear. But had I not had it on, I probably would have been thinking about me too, right? And yeah.
I mean, fall over, hit your head on a rock or something, and then it's over.
Yeah, or get your feet tangled up, right? So anyway, so thankful to Matt and Josh. Yeah, thank you guys for helping me out. That meant a lot for you guys to take time out of your tournament day to come help me out. You probably took like an hour out of each of your day. Josh even more out of his day to help me out. So anyways, that's my low of the day, right? Again, highs and lows, right? So I'm super excited. I'm winning this damn tournament. Have big fish. I'm on cloud 9, and then this happens now. I'm like down at the bottom. Like I'm not even thinking about the tournament at all. I'm really not at that point. I'm just thinking about my gear, how much I lost, that I ruined my fish finder, my power pole. I'm just a mess in my head. I'm just a complete mess. So I bail out the water. So another little thing. So I had a drink with me, right? And I'm trying to bail out water because once we turn the kayak and put nose down, all the water came to the nose. Because I had a drain plug. That hole's so small. I'd have been there. I'd probably still be there draining water. So I turned the kayak so all the water would go to the front of the hole where I have access to it. And I was trying to get it out with the Mountain Dew bottle with this little hole. And it just was taking so dang long. I finally just cut the top off and made a big hole, so I was able to start bailing water out pretty quickly. It probably took like 40 or 50 of those to get all the water. That's how much water was still in there after 45 minutes of draining. I got all the water out. I told the guys, go fishing, please. Thank you, for helping me. I'm good. I'm drying all my gear out. I'm trying to take inventory. This is a crazy thing, right? So I'm trying to take inventory of what I potentially lost because I wasn't sure at this point, right? And this is where it gets kind of funny, I guess. And I'm blessed and lucky and all those words, right? Because I didn't have anything tied down. I just got extremely lucky. I got everything back. So I'm taking stock of what I lost, and I'm like, I don't think I lost anything. Like, how do you not lose anything? I may have lost a couple of baits, but I don't know about. But I'm like, I didn't lose a hoodie that was just laying there? I don't know how the hoodie didn't go down. My NRS boots, my crate, like, I'm like, how in the hell? I think I got everything. I'm going through all my everything. Like I think I got everything. And then I'm like this. I'm like, well, maybe not. Not so fast. I think I lost something. So this is still dirty, still dried from it's nasty, but I'm going to show it, right? So again, during the day, I had my NRS boots on. I took my socks off and switched to water shoes, right? So what did I lose? This guy's little buddy. His little buddy. I lost the sock here. I lost his pair.
Bolo.
His little buddy decided to stay in the lake, I guess, right? That's all I lost. That's crazy. Of all the things I could lose, a damn sock. How lucky is that?
I just want to point out that Alex hasn't done laundry since Pueblo, which was 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
I saved this just for the story, Matt. Yeah, that's funny. Highs, lows, right? So then from there, that's the swim I took, right? It's on purpose, but it turned into an accident because I didn't think it out completely when I did it, right? So I get back in the kayak. It's about noon when I got back in the kayak finally. I am looking at standings at this point because I am starting to think about, okay, my day, the way it's going, somebody's going to catch me. Like somebody's going to catch a 24-inch smallie or something stupid, right? 22-inch and I'm going to lose big fish. I'm going to lose tournament. Like this, my weekend's just going this way, right? Because I just had so many lows and highs. I'm just negative thoughts, right? I'm looking at the standings as I'm fishing for my rods, and I just see Eric Ali over 80, Jason over 80, Paul Roth over 80, and I'm like, oh, it just takes them catching one good kicker, and they could catch me. Like, not likely, but they could. Now I'm starting thinking, I'm going to lose this damn tournament now, too. Like. So I had to go fish. So I get back in the kayak. My head's not right. I don't want to turn any electronics on because I'm scared of frying them. They still have water maybe. And so I just start fishing, and I'm just a mess. I'm not fishing. I'm fishing, but I'm not fishing. My head's just not right. And so I turn the corner. I go to the next point. Josh Unger's there. He catches one on a buzzbait, like 15 and a half. I'm kind of fishing close to him. And I'm catching a few dinks here and there, and I'm just like, finally said, I'm done. Like, my head's just not right. I told Josh, I'm out of here. I'm done. So I start going back to the DOW ramp. I'm making a long haul back, and I'm going back. It's about 12:50 at this point, maybe. Matt Collins here gives me a call or texts me or messages me, dude, the wiper blowing up like crazy over here. Get over here. So I hightail it over there. I get to where Matt's at. I'm like, where are they at? He's like, I don't know. I think you missed it. Like, oh, great. Another thing I missed, right?
Cool.
This is my day, right? It's like 1 o'clock at this point. Standings are off. So I'm like, yeah, whatever happens, right? And so I'm just sitting there with Matt, like, oh, great, I missed it. And then within a couple minutes of me being there, right, Matt, is 2, 3, 4 minutes, all hell breaks loose all around me.
They were boiling everywhere.
Boom, they just start blowing up. There's a wiper blowing up everywhere. Boom, boom. They're chasing those little trout, and trouters jumping out of the water, and it's just mayhem. I'm trying to what rod do I have? I have a bunch of finesse stuff. I don't have any power stuff tied on at this time, right? And so he's like, I have a jerkbait. He caught him on a jerkbait before I got there, right? I don't have a jerkbait tied on. So I look and I have a mini max, a little white mini max tied on, chatterbait. So I grab that. I fling it out through like my second or third cast. Boom, I hook up. I'm like, yeah, woo! I got a wiper. Nope, it's a brown fish. It's another smallie. That's the kind of day I had, right? It's a 16 and something smallie. So I upgraded, another upgrade of like an inch and a half, inch and a quarter upgrade. Or I don't remember what it was. Whatever upgrade I had at that point, right? So yeah, that helped me upgrade to my 86.75. So we keep fishing for wiper. The rest of the hour, me and Matt are chasing wiper, and we're hooking them, and they're all over 20 inches. All of them. That's a 24, I think. That one's a 24.5-inch wiper.
Yeah.
And we're just having fun. We're just waiting for them to blow up, and we'd run over there, start casting, and we'd catch them. we're just chasing wiper for the last hour and just had a blast, right, Matt? That was so much fun.
Yeah, the best part of that is, you see guys that are at the tournament and like, oh man, there's a wiper bite, and we saw Tim Van Sickler out there. I was like,
Yeah.
Tim, you gotta get on this. He's like, I'm trying to cold fish, man. I'm like, screw it.
And me and Matt are like, who cares? We're chasing.
We both cold fish. I caught a large. I caught a 16-inch largemouth. The first boil that I threw into on a jerkbait, I threw a 110 and I jerked the hell out of that thing, just trying to get it back because I knew they were so active. And then boom, it went down. I cold a fish right away. Then you cold. I was like, well, screw it. They're in there doing the same thing, and if we can catch wiper, it's a blast,
It's bonus, right? Yeah. So we started hooking the wiper. There's guys in bass boats, like we're making yeah, we're yelling like, yeah, I got another one. I got another one.
Yeah,
they're over there.
Yeah, dude was in his bass boat with his girlfriend, and he's like, oh man. He's like, where are they? And you see him get on his trolling motor. He gets over, picks up his rod with his A-rig on it, just slings it out right away, just hooks up.
Hooks into one.
He's like, how many pounds was yours? And we're like, we do it in inches. I don't know, And they were like, we had that whole disconnect between the bass boat and us. But he's like, all right, my girlfriend's got to get one next. And he was trying to get her one. But it was a blast, man.
Yeah, so all the bass boats started coming to us. Like all the boats around us started coming to us. And we're chasing them around because, the wiper, they move really fast. So we're just looking for the next boil, and we'd run over there and start casting at them. And the bass boats, all the boats couldn't get there fast enough because it takes them forever to turn around. Me and Matt on the kayaks were just boom, boom, right on top of them. Yeah, we stayed on top of them for an hour. It was a lot of fun. So that's how I ended my day. And then, of course, I get to there, and, I won, and big fish. So, again, highs, lows, super static. So, that was my day. I mean, that's when I say I had a day, right? I had a day. All right. And I was lucky to have people come and help me. The only thing I did lose, so not just the socks, I found out later, my transducer's not working right. And I think it's because my battery wasn't working right. So one of my amp batteries I just bought, a brand new amp battery I have, a 12 amp hour one, it's dead. It was submerged for so long, I guess, that battery died.
I got one.
I was trying to revive it. Huh?
I got that 15 amp hour one. You can have it.
Oh, don't worry about it. I got a couple others, so I'm not worried about it. But that's all I lost. I lost that battery and I lost the sock. I'm still not sure about the transducer. I think it'll be okay. I think it was the battery that caused that. So, yeah. But yeah, that was my day. That was a crazy, emotional weekend and just highs and lows, man. But yeah. So thanks for letting me tell the story.
But okay, more highs than lows. And I want to point out before we move on, because I think this is very important. So we camped together at Pueblo. So we had our own little campsite. Alex and I at night decide, hey, we're going to go walk over and we're going to go see Ronnie or whatever. So we leave our site. We go down there.
Oh, right.
All of Alex's rods are just laid out super nicely with the rod sleeves on and everything. No way they could get destroyed. Well, who did we see when we left our camp? We saw Jamie Sandrovich.
That's correct.
Jamie, we know.
We know, Jamie. That rod tip I broke, we know. Just kidding. That was the next day.
No.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But, another shout out to, again, the club guys, right? I just want to give this shout out to Ronnie too, Matt, for both of us.
Yeah.
So when we camp, you got to have all your camping gear done and packed up before you leave for the day because you have to be out at your campsite by noon and we're fishing tournaments. So, it's a hassle. You always got to think about that. A lot of people just sleep in the truck that day or, you got to think about it. You got to roll your tent up and all this stuff. So Ronnie, of course, it's raining, so it's all wet. Ronnie's like, dude, just leave his stuff there. He's not fishing the tournament next day. I'll go get it all. I'll lay it all out. I'll have it all dried out for you when you get back after the tournament. And he did. I mean, so thank you to that because he took time out of his day to go do that. And I'm sure it was a pain in the butt doing that. So thank you, Ronnie, for that.
Yep. All right, so let's go over some stats here. I'm a big stat guy again. So you won with 86 3/4 inches. Second place, 83, Paul Roth. Eric Ali at 81 1/4, and Jason Duong at 81 inches. You caught the big bass. You got first place. You also used hammer braid, so you got another $250 to Cast King, and then you're a KBF member, so you got another $150 to
$100
$100 to Fish USA. and a gift card there. So pretty good day.
Yeah, I did good. I can't complain with that, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the money, but it's a nice little bonus to more fishing gear, right? Of course.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
rebuild
it's
some
about for
rods.
me. I love the AOY. I love the AOY chase. This was about for me is to try to get those trophies that are right there. There's one, try to get those trophies, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was thinking of questions to ask Alex here, and we've already gone over like what's a funny story, and we've gone over that in past podcasts. But I wanted to kind of get a little bit deeper on this one. So what is your, we also, I don't know, maybe your most funny story now is just your whole weekend at Pueblo, but what is the most impactful memory that you have from the club, being a board member?
Yeah. Oh, there's 1,000 of them
everything.
because there's so many shout outs to so many people. Um, I mean, Dave Kuzer, I mean, just he's so sharing with his information and welcoming. So my most memorable for the club, 100%, is not just the people that help, like Jason and Paul and just everybody, right? Jeremy, and I mean, the list is endless, right? Of people that helped me along the way with all kinds of different things, and just are good people and help people out. So the list is endless as far as people, but my most memorable memory is my very first tournament at CKFC. So I've told the story before. I've rehashed it. People are probably tired of hearing it. But my first day, I guess I got to tell the story whole, right? So I used to fish out of float tubes all the time, right? And I had a whole rig. You know me, dude. PVC, I had 6 rod holders, I had a fish finder mount, I had a Gatorade holder, a net holder, all in my little float tube, right? Like it was rigged out. Like you know me, I like that DIY stuff. So it was all rigged out. So back then I was looking at online forums for like people that fished out of float tubes for tournaments out in California for bass and walleye and everything else, right? So I was like, there's got to be people that do that here in Colorado. So I started Googling around, and that's how I found CKFC. This is 2015, 14, 14, 15, I don't remember. But I found CKFC and that they were holding a tournament, and they allowed, at the time before our insurance changed, we used to allow canoes, float tubes, anything not motorized like that, right? So I emailed them, or I think I emailed Dave Kuzer, who was the tournament director at the time, and said, hey, can I fish out of my float tube, right? And he's like, yeah, absolutely you can. I'm like, cool, man. Like, I want to get into competition and start competing. Back then I thought, I could catch fish, but I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. I caught fish, but I didn't understand it completely until I got into the tournament fishing, and my game just, I mean, you can't help but learn if you fish tournaments. I tell people, you want to learn, fish tournaments. If you got competitive nature in you, fish tournaments, because you're just gonna skyrocket with your fish knowledge and how to fish, and you understand why fish are where they are during certain times of the year. I mean, you're just gonna become a much better fisherman if you tournament fish. That's just so I didn't know what I was doing per se. I knew I could catch fish, but I didn't know why I was catching fish. Anyways, so I joined that tournament, and they said, yeah, you can fish with your float tube. Never heard of kayak fishing before that day. Never even saw it, never heard it, anything of them. It's like, what the hell is this kayak fishing stuff? Like, what's this deal about, right? So I start Googling around, and I'm like, oh, okay, people fish all these things. They just like jerry rig like I jerry rig my float tube. They do that with same thing with their float tubes. They're after drilling holes and rivet guns and putting things in. I mean, that's right up my alley, dude. That's me, right? So it was 3 days before my birthday. My birthday was 3 days before that tournament at Pueblo. And my wife's like, just get yourself a kayak for your birthday. I already know you. She knows how I am, right? I'm all in. When I do something, I'm all in, right? And so I go to Bass Pro Shops, as you were talking, Lindsay, your first kayak, right, being an Ascend, and I go buy an Ascend. 3 days before the tournament. Never been in a kayak in my life, any kind of kayak ever in my life, right? I just go buy it. I'm all in. I'm all in. I got a milk crate at home. Like, I'm going to rig the hell out of the milk crate to hold my fish finder and my rods, and off I go. And I get to the tournament. I brought my float tube with me. That was my backup plan because I had no idea what was going to happen when I get in that kayak. If I flipped it, I was just going to get my float tube and start fishing out my float tube, right? And so I sit there, and I'll never forget. This is why it says memorable for me. It's because I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know anybody. I'd never competed at anything fishing. It was all brand new to me. Never been in a kayak. I was super intimidated. these guys are walking around. They have jerseys on. Like, these are like pros to me. Like, I'm like, these guys are, what the hell? What I get myself into here? So I'm super nervous, scared, all of it, right? I don't know, shy a little bit. I know people don't think I'm shy, but I can be. And so I walk up there, and we used to have meeting. We had to have morning meetings before before Tourney X. We had to go verify your board, make sure you have PFD, a white light.
Pledge allegiance.
You had to check in, sign a waiver, right, Lindsay? You remember all that, right?
Or was
Pledge
it the
allegiance. We played national anthem. It was awesome.
That was it. Yeah.
It was awesome, right? And we'd sit there and it was a long process for the board members to do this, but we all got to chit chat while waiting at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm just shy, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm just trying to figure things out and what's what, right? And then Johnny comes up, Johnny Waginka, who was the president at the time of the club, founder of the club, comes up, and Johnny, if you've ever met Johnny, that guy is just a ball of freaking energy, dude. His personality, his smile is infectious like no other. Like it's just infectious.
Yes.
Johnny just starts good morning, everybody, and just starts, with what he does, right? Doing what he does, right? Talking to everybody. How you doing? And how you doing? And how you doing? He doesn't know, just introducing himself to everybody. He just introduced himself to me. And it made me feel very welcome. And that's what I remember the most is that feeling, right? And then how everybody was just very friendly, helpful, talking. At the end of the tournament, everybody's talking about how they caught them, lessons learned, all those things, and that's what I love about this community, this club, everything, right? So that's my most memorable moment was that, And then on top of that, getting the kayak for the first time, which created this ridiculous addiction that my wife now hates because I get too far into things and I go too far with everything, right? So I remember trying to launch and watching everybody get up. I purposely was last person to launch. Me and this girl, Angela, that used to fish with us. We're the last two on shore. And I see everybody launching, right? And they're all going off, right? And I'm just watching them, and I'm trying to study how people get into the kayak because I've never been in a kayak. Like, how do they get in without flipping this damn thing, right? And I'm watching, I'm studying like a hawk, like how do they do this? How do they start paddling? Like, I've never been in a kayak. And everybody leaves. I'm like, okay, now get in. If I flip, I won't be as embarrassed, right? And I go and get in the kayak, and I think I caught one fish that day. Did not do good at all. The whole season, I did terrible. I was like at the bottom of the standings. And that's how my addiction started from there. It just became a true addiction. And that driving force in me of being competitive. And this is what I'm saying. If you're competitive, fish a tournament. You will become a better angler. So I went from being a terrible, just not knowing what I'm doing kind of angler to the next year I was angler of the year, 2016. Right? I made a huge jump. And all that had to do with people from the club helped me along the way and give me advice and tips and all that good stuff. And I appreciate all of them. And me going out and figuring out why are these guys better than me? What are they doing better than me to become a better angler? And I pushed myself to learn as much as I could, not only about the species like walleye, but what are they eating? And when are they eating those things? And I had to dive into all the little technical details to become a better angler. And yeah, the rest is history from there. It's just been an addiction that's beyond belief, right? I live, eat. I used to golf all the time. Since I started kayak fishing, I think I golfed one time in the last 7 years.
Your wife would probably kill you if you had two hobbies, Alex.
Yeah. Well, I got other hobbies with hunting and stuff too. But,
you know what I mean.
But yeah, this is my main one.
Oh man, no, that's
sorry.
awesome.
I know I talk a lot. It's a long story, but yeah, I love sharing that. So.
No, I love that. I only met Johnny from the podcast we did with him and Dave, and you can tell instantly when you just listen to those two how infectious both of them are. Dave's got the charisma of he could be friends with anybody, any stranger. I think he could be a friend with in a second or two. And then Dave's got that professionalism about him where it's like, okay, this guy could run any business,
Absolutely.
You would just completely trust him with anything that you would want him to manage. So that combination, it just comes off so clear, listening to the two of them and seeing what they set out to do with the club. It's so cool.
Set a good foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you both for coming on. Congratulations, Lindsay. Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you.
Good job, Lindsay.
You both crushed it. Next up, we got Trinidad, June 10th and 11th. The Bass is on Saturday and Multi is on Sunday. So it's switched up from Pueblo. And a couple things to go into. I hate to be the rule guy, but a couple things to go into that I just wanted to highlight so we don't have any issues. We hate denying fish, but we have to do it. You know, it's in the rules. When you sign up for Tourney X, you check the block for the rules there saying that you read them. You can actually open that link and read the rules, and it's got them in there. But, you know, a lot of it's just honest mistakes. I completely understand. But so getting into it, first off, this is what on a bass tournament we're looking for. The mouth is closed, it's touching the fence, and it's oriented left to right in front of you on the board. You'll also notice that the identifier is completely visible for us to see, and that the fish, the tail is touching a line. If the tail was stuck in the middle between a line where there's the gap you can see, then we can't count that fish. We can't assume. Even if it clearly is over, it has to cross for us to count that extra quarter of an inch for you. So that's something to look at. All these rules it's in season 1, episode 5 of the podcast here. It's called the Captain's Meeting with Jeremy Pierce, and he goes in very big detail on all the rules. But those are the big things there. Now, if we're on multi-species, that mouth can be open. The fish just has to be touching the fence there. Okay. Another thing to notice is this is a catch board starting this year, and it's been announced several times. We went to catch board as did a lot of other tournament trails, just because of the consistency with it and the inability to flex boards and gain extra like quarters of an inch or whatever on the tournaments. It's the standard for kayak bass fishing and for measuring fish. So it has to be a catch board this year. Last year, you know, you could use hog trough, but we can't accept a fish if it's on a hog trough this year. If you can't get one ordered before Trinidad, just reach out to us on our Facebook page. We will, or Instagram, YouTube, just let us know. We have a couple extras laying around, so we can get you a catch board for the tournament. Just ask you bring it back, you know, when we do the awards. That way we can have it for the next person to use. But we do have some spares. So if it's, hey, you know, I'm ordering a catch board, know this rule, not a big deal. If it doesn't come in time, just let us know. We'll get you one.
Even if you're new and you just want to fish a tournament to try it out before you buy all this stuff,
yeah,
you can hit me up personally. I always have a spare with me every single time I go out. I always have a spare. And the club will let you borrow them too. So if you just want to borrow one just to try a tournament out, just we'll let you borrow one.
Just let us know. Yeah, and we're happy to help out. We want max participation. So no hog troughs, catch boards only. Here's a few things that we had from Pueblo just to talk about. So clean boards. Make sure, just run water over your board and dust it off a little bit. If it's got too much mud on it, you know, where the measuring marks are, we can't see that marking. It just makes it more difficult to judge that fish. So clean the boards. The fish orientation, this is how the fish has to be oriented. So its head is to the left in front of you, its tail's to the right, and its dorsal fin is up and not down. So the fish isn't flipped the wrong way. So the picture we're looking at, this is exactly how the fish should look. Another thing we run into this all the time, especially in Colorado with all the sun here, is just glare. So take several photos is the best advice, and then double check them before you go. If the sun hits that spot just right and you have too much glare, especially like right where the measuring marks are, then we can't see, hey, is that a 16? Like, I can't read the numbers there. It makes it super hard to judge. So maybe just turn your kayak around so the sun's not beaming on the board. And that fixes it a lot of times for you. Hands over the
Let me hit that real quick because that glare is a nasty problem for a lot of, when the sun's bright. So for everything, whenever I catch a fish, I hit this earlier, is I put the fish in the net. I have a deep net. I have the Bass Pro Shadow Tech net, which is a really deep net. I put the fish in there. I sit on it. Fish is healthy in the water, safe. I review my pictures, looking for everything Matt just talked about. So
Yeah. Then
verify your pictures. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's an example of glare. It's
All
just,
right.
you know, what number am I looking at here? It's hard to judge that, you know. So
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. The last one is hands over the eyes, and I got an example of that here. It happens. Just take multiple pictures, but hey, one of the things that we have to see on the fish is this fish alive? And one of the best ways to tell that is if it's through the eyes on this fish. So if we cover the eyes or we enter our hand into the gill plate, not on top of it, I can't judge that fish because I can't say if that fish is alive or not. And sometimes there are fish just floating around in the lake. So, hey, it's in the rules here, and they are there for a reason. But we just ask, hey, if you're unfamiliar with it, or maybe it's a tournament you're just first getting into, just take some time, watch that video with Jeremy. It's not too dry. We go over all of these things, and it should clarify any questions that you have on measuring fish. Because the last thing we want to have happen is you either get deducted from your total, or worst case, you know, we DQ a fish, or we can't accept any of your fish because you have the wrong measuring board. So I just wanted to bring that up for next tournament while we had time to talk about it here. We got a couple weeks, so. But that's all I got. We got Trinidad June 10th and 11th. We also, later in June, we're doing an event with True Patriot Outfitters on Stanley Lake. Gene is having a bunch of people out on the water there, kind of introducing them to kayak fishing. It's a pretty cool nonprofit that he runs for veterans and first responders. So he's having them out with their families and just showing them kayak fishing. And he's got a fleet of new canoes that he's doing that with, and a bunch of other gear that he's gotten sponsorship throughout the year as well. So look forward to working with Gene on that. I believe it's the 24th. I'll correct it if I'm not correct on that. But yeah, but that's it. Thank you so much, Lindsay and Alex, for coming on. And
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys at Trinidad, and best of luck for AOI.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Lindsay.
All right.
Thank you, Alex.
All right. Congrats. We'll see you.